Hey guys, I just got around to recording a video of our trip through Japan. But before we go through our journey, I just wanted to share with you guys some tips and tricks for new travelers traveling across this beautiful island. The first tip is the tourism passmo. This is basically a transport card that is handed to tourists at airports. It's valid for around 28 days, and you can use it to travel on buses, cars, taxis, trains, and so on and so forth across Japan. Very useful. You can top it up with cash in any train station. Highly recommend it. You can also pay for things in some shops with this card. Now, the way you'll be traveling across Japan, the way we've traveled across Japan, was through trains. Tons of trains in Japan, tons of different types, all comfort classes, very comfortable. The local trains and the express trains are basically what you're going to be using. With the tourism pass, you've got limited express trains, which have their own reserved seats, so you got to pay an extra ticket along with the tourism pass. And of course, you've got the legendary bullet trains, the Shinkansens. They call them the Super Expresses, and you got to pay an extra ticket for that one. A separate ticket. Passmo doesn't work for those. Now, how do you know how to get around? Well, we used Google Maps. Google really helps. Everything is in great detail. How to get from point A to point B. It will help you in a pinch for sure. Of course, the local signs on how to get to a certain area are also translated in English in most places in Japan. And you can also use Google Translate to ask locals how to get around. Always helps you. Now, the way to access these apps all over Japan is to use data roaming. And for data roaming, we had eSIMs. Now, the eSIM companies that we used were YesSIM, which is better for bigger packages. So, for example, if you're in Japan for a month, then you can buy 1 month unlimited internet, megabytes, whatever, and travel freely. If you're there for a shorter period of time, then what we used was the Unisim. You can pay per gigabyte. Every time you're out of a gigabyte, you can just pay for an extra one at a time. Now, another important aspect of traveling in Japan is, of course, money. Japan is a cash-based economy. Generally, most places accept cash, especially if you're in a pinch. The best places to exchange your money in Tokyo, it's in Shinjuku. We'll send you the link in the description box down below. These locations usually have the best rates. It's recommended to exchange all your money all at once, so you don't pay that much for exchange fees. But generally, you can exchange your money in any corner store all across Japan, including 7-Eleven. They have special ATMs for that as well. For international cards, you can exchange things for a little bit of a worse exchange rate, but you can still do that anywhere. Japan is pretty much technologically savvy in those cases. Apple Pay works in some places, doesn't work in others, and keep in mind, it will not work in train stations. So if you're in a pinch, you will not be able to pay for your train through Apple Pay. However, you can pay for most things, if not everything in Japan, online. The problem with that is you have to access their site, and their sites are usually all in Japanese. So unless you speak Japanese, you're going to have a tough time with that. So basically what you have to keep in mind is carry cash on you, and everyone's willing to help. Just ask, especially in train stations. And these are all the tips that we have for you for the journey. Of course, there are a ton of materials online, and even a special dedicated website about how to travel through Japan and what to see and so on and so forth. So we definitely recommend seeing that. It is quite detailed. But for now, let me show you our journey through the beautiful island. Enjoy. Our journey started in Tokyo. We landed in Haneda Airport, which is the closer airport to the city center, and made our way to our hotel, while being absolutely mind-blown that we were in Japan. Fortunately, the metros were quite easy to use because they were color-coded, and of course with Google Maps, it's very hard to get lost. The first areas we visited was, of course, Shibuya Crossing, Akihabara, and the Ginza district. our first impressions were, of course, how uncanny it was for Starbucks to be in every perfect location. The amount of sports cars and supercars in Tokyo was also mind-boggling, and the Ginza district was the pinnacle of consumerism. It had every brand you can possibly imagine, tax-free, and thousands of tourists with thousands of bags. And this was off-season. After visiting the sites, we made our way to the limited express train that took us to the nearby hiking village of Hakone. Now, Hakone was very calm after the hustle and bustle of Tokyo. Much more relaxed and serene, many hiking trails, and it's generally recommended to stay for more than a few days to get to hike all of the trails. The nature is really out of a Ghibli movie, and the lake at the end of the trail was breathtaking. The different vegetations, the centennial paths, the massive trees. We stopped at a bakery that had hot springs for your feet. Never have I even thought of the concept, but soaking your feet in hot water after a long hike with a stunning view and a potato bun is honestly one of the best feelings in life. We made our way to a nearby temple after that, where the amount of tourists lined up to the iconic floating torii gate in Hakone was actually a real turnoff. Which brings us to the recurring theme in our trip. Most of Japan's culture has been sold to tourism, which kind of killed the magic of or authenticity of it. However, it is still incredible. After our hiking days, we decided to go way down south of Japan. The trip took us 5 hours on 2 bullet trains, and the landscapes changed right in front of our eyes. The goal was the bike trail called the Shimanami Kaido, a 70-kilometer bike ride across several islands. We decided to stay in a hostel in Onamichi. When we landed, the city greeted us with a light drizzle, but that made the hostel much cozier. Renting bikes in Onamichi was quite easy and affordable depending on the bike you chose, and they have a wide assortment. We took a ferry to the start of the trail and began biking. The road had blue arrows to guide bikers along the trail, so it was hard to get lost. Nevertheless, we kept a physical map with us. The islands were stunning and kept getting more and more beautiful the farther we got.
Alright guys, cross high-ass bridge.
Eventually, we managed to bike through 3 of the 7 islands, stopping at Ikuchishima and taking a ferry back to Onamichi. Our plan was to return the next day and continue the trail, but by then it started raining, so we dropped off our bikes and continued on our journey. In hindsight, we could have started our bike ride in Ikuchijima, since that's when the real insta-views started. After that, we decided to go to an ancient onsen town called Kinosaki. We decided to take our journey from Onamichi to Kinosaki and split it in 2. Our first stop was Himeji. We took a bullet train there. Beautiful city. Definitely recommend staying there for longer. The journey to Himeji took us several hours on a bullet train, and it was the only place where we found an Onitsuka tiger empty, which, let me tell you, was as rare as finding a natural blonde Asian. After the brief pit stop, we took a local train up towards our onsen destination. I must say the Hyugo Prefecture has got to be my favorite region of Japan so far, in terms of the mystical feel of low-hanging clouds amid green hills and mountains. The train rides themselves were straight out of a slice-of-life journey anime. After arriving at Kinosaki, we managed to find an available hotel and had our very first authentic ryokan experience. Ryokans are traditional Japanese hotels, and Kinosaki is full of them. Now, the town itself boasts 7 historic hot springs, each with its own healing properties and legends.
Traditionally in Japan.
And after healing from our hike and bike, we made our way to Kyoto. After arriving at our hostel, we searched for food and quickly discovered the greatest ramen I have ever tasted in my life. The link, of course, is in the description. Kyoto is a haven for vegans, almost like Holland for Japan, if that makes any sense. During our stay in Kyoto, we gallivanted through some of its iconic temples, visited its neighboring Nara and Osaka, and got attacked by an eagle. Kyoto is very relaxed and clean. Even the city river is clear. Although Nara and Osaka are about an hour apart from each other, depending on which train you take, they couldn't be any more different from one another. Nara is where deer and humans live in harmony and actually has a massive temple dedicated to the deer gods. Nature appears in harmony with humans here. Osaka is like Las Vegas on steroids. Lights, noise, shopping, and just the bustle of what we imagine to be a typical urban city in Asia. All mind-blowing and incredible in vastly different ways. After our adventures in Kyoto, we returned to the country's capital, which was vastly different to what we were used to at this point in our journey. Our stay was in Shinjuku this time, but little did we know it was in the red light district of Shinjuku. Although it was safe, the mix of depraved adult clubs and cartoonish colors was very strange. It was an area that was very clearly enslaved by money. Luckily, a 5-minute walk would take us to an area many dubbed to be Tokyo's best. Our most notable visits during our last days in Japan were the Shinjuku Gyoen Park and the Tokyo Skytree. The park was huge, and some of its parts reminded me of Central Park. It included a large greenhouse, a Japanese garden, and wide fields on its premises.
Same park, guys.
The Tokyo Skytree, on the other hand, seemed like the pinnacle of engineering, from the fastest elevator in Japan to the breathtaking 360-degree views of Tokyo, the end of which could not be seen. Then we seen some more cultural public activities, played in an arcade, and made our way to the airport the next day. Side note, Tokyo has two main airports, Haneda, which is closer to the city center, and Narita, which is further out. Be sure to check which airport you fly out of and fly into, because if it's Narita, it takes at least an hour to get there, way further away than Haneda. A few concluding thoughts on Japan. It is a magical place, truly perfect to escape from our own mundane reality, let's put it that way. The aesthetics and the views are really similar to anime. So one other topic about our journey that I wanted to touch on was the food aspect of it. Many people would ask, what does a vegetarian or a vegan eat in Japan, considering the Japanese diet is full of fish, chicken, beef, and whatnot. And it's true, it was quite tough to find vegetarian stuff in traditional places or local eats in Japan. That being said, many towns still had restaurants that had either one or two foods that were vegetarian or vegan. And if all else fails, of course, there were pre-made snacks and foods in 7-Eleven shops and other local grocery stores. So we didn't struggle too much with that. However, Kyoto is the undisputed king of vegan and vegetarian foods. I mean, there is a ton of those places. For tourists, for locals, you could find it all. We'll send you the link in the description box down below. If I had to describe the food, like the type of food Japan likes, I would say the Japanese are they're real big sweet tooths. They like everything sweet. Also weird combinations of sweet and spicy, as well as the texture being slimy in some cases. Honestly, it was, I will say it once again, a truly magical experience. And we will definitely be coming back to this country in the future. Thank you for watching. I hope you found this entertaining. And I hope it inspired you to go see Japan as well. It is actually incredible. Another thing, we went during June, and all websites, all YouTube videos that you're going to watch, they're basically going to tell you that June is the off season. There's no reason to go to June because it's the rainy season, so on and so forth. And perhaps they're right. Perhaps some locations that we saw had prettier views during spring. But on the other end, Japan is absolutely aesthetic. Everywhere you go. Doesn't matter the season. Just take your backpack, pick a train, and just go somewhere. And you will never get disappointed. So, with that in mind, what are you waiting for? Take your backpack, go see it for yourself. Thank you for watching. Have a good one.